We're going to do some more leg exercises today. And also I want to focus quite a bit on being aware of our breathing. We've done a lot of work where we've become aware of the breath that comes in from the space around us. When we work with our legs, what we experience more is the breathing flowing into this depth here. When we work from this region down into the legs, we can experience that deep abdominal breathing in a natural way. It's not that we have to force the breath into that region, but it's naturally encouraged into that region. And Heinz Grill has some interesting ideas about the significance of that, the significance of our breath flowing into that deep region. He writes, by experiencing and practicing deep breathing, we gather ourselves in our deep center and encourage a process of integration. The ability to integrate something means strength and gathering. So we can imagine when we're breathing something in deeply, we're integrating that breath into ourselves. And with that, I'll read that again. The ability to integrate something means strength and gathering. He also describes how this is very important for our immune system, because the job of our immune system is not only to reject what is foreign, but in order to do that, it has to integrate what is right. So the immune system needs to be able to distinguish between what needs to be integrated and what doesn't need to be integrated, either things that shouldn't even be taken in the first place, or old things that now need to be expelled. So the ability to integrate what is right helps us with the ability to reject what is no longer useful. So just to come back to our main activity this morning, we'll work with the legs, and with that we'll experience our deep breathing. And we'll stay with the idea that the ability to integrate something means strength and gathering. So would you like to come up to a standing position? So on Friday, we did the warrior positions. And I'd like to start with that again, because it's something new. I think it's good to repeat it. And also it's something that is very strengthening. So we're talking about strength and gathering. The ability to integrate something means strength and gathering. So let's take the feet wide apart. So your right foot points towards the end of your mat, your left foot just more at a sort of facing forwards, we could say. But actually we're going to turn our hips first of all to face towards the front foot, and take your right hand forwards. Just keep your left hand relaxed by your leg. And you can bend your front knee so that it comes over the ankle. And raise your right arm up. Let's start to grow from the solar plexus. We've got a good strength in the legs. Growing upwards from the solar plexus, right up through really high. Let's be aware of our breathing. In working actively with the legs are very strong here. The breath is encouraged into the depth. But stay with that awareness. The breath is encouraged into the depth. Okay, let's change to the other side. So take the left foot to point towards the end of your mat, right foot outwards, bend the left knee, take the left hand forwards and then up, and grow from the middle of your body. So we've got very strong active legs, and then a lifting up from the middle of the body right up through. Just be aware of your breath. The breath can be encouraged right into the depth when the legs are active. Return again. Let's change around to the other side once again. So right foot facing forward. This time we'll keep the hips open out sideways. Bend the knee so it comes over the ankle, and take the hands into this horizontal position. Just be aware of your breath in this position with your hips very open in this way. Make sure they're not twisting forwards too much, but keep them really open. That can also encourage deeper breathing. And then let's take the elbow down onto the knee and stretch up, or the forearm rather, is resting on your thigh. It's more that a little above the knee, and stretch upwards, growing into your back leg. So you can really stretch out that back leg. Come back again, change the legs around. Keep the hips open. Come down. Your knee should be above your ankle. Then take the forearm onto your thigh, stretch upwards. You can look up at your hand. Just be aware of your breathing. In particular, be aware of the breath in that pelvic region. Stretch into the leg behind you a little bit more. Then return again. Change sides one more time. So take that other foot, the right foot, to point to the end of the mat. Keep the hips open. Bend the knee down. Once again, take the forearm onto, or just above your elbow, just above your knee. And this time, we're going to take the arm right into a stretch to lengthen along with your leg. So your leg stretches back, your side and your arm all forming one long line. Keep breathing right through to the fingertips, growing back into that leg. And then change sides again. Knee coming over the ankle, arm down, other arm right over the head, and lengthening through that leg, through the side, right out through the arm. Let the breath flow really fully. When we integrate the breath deeply into ourselves, it means gathering and strength. And then return again. And take the hands down. Take your feet together. We'll come to the sun prayer. So our main focus is to remain aware of what happens to the breath in this deep region today. This idea that we're integrating new breath deeply into ourselves. So let's just keep our awareness at that region, even though in the sun prayer we can actively stretch and grow from the middle of the solar plexus, as you know, and it encourages higher breathing. We can be aware of both areas of breathing. Take the hands down. Take the right foot back. Let's pause in this position and really work into the legs in this half moon position. Forwards into the front leg, backwards into the back leg, so that you can feel that gathering of strength in your pelvis. And take the arms fully up. Be aware of your breathing in that pelvic region. Stretch actively up. Then come down into the plank. Take the knees, chest and forehead down. Arching your back, slide forwards. As you come into the cobra, keep your pelvis anchored on the ground so there's a good contraction in your sacrum. Then push into the triangle. So again, be aware of your sacrum. It can move upwards so that your spine is stretched more and more. The backs of your legs also can be lengthened downwards. Now take the right foot between your hands. Let's pause again to grow into both legs, into the front knee, into your back leg, feeling that gathering in your pelvis, and then a good active growth upwards through the sides, through the arms. Be aware of the breath. Keep the neck comfortable. Don't drop the head back too much. And then take the other foot forward and look in. And come right the way up to the standing half moon, drawing the legs together so that again you've got a good tightening in your abdomen and really lengthening right up high. And take the hands by your sides. Just pause, be aware of your breath. In particular, just notice how the breath is in this pelvic region. Hands together, legs are drawn together so that there's a good tightening of the legs. Body streaming up high. Take the hands down next to your feet. Left foot back. Grow into both legs. Just pause. Feel that tightening in your pelvis. Arms up. If you've got a good support with the legs, then you can really actively stretch out of that support. Take the hands down. Plank. Knees, chest, forehead down, arching your back. Slide forwards. Open into the cobra. Keep breathing. Push into downward dog. Left foot forward. Growing. Grow into both legs. Be aware of that gathering of breath, integration of breath into the pelvic region, streaming up. Take the other foot forward and look in. Come right the way up once again and grow. And take the hands down. Let's come next to the standing head to knee position. Take your feet together. We're going to keep our focus here at this region of the sacrum and the whole pelvic area. We're going to remain aware of the breath in that region. Deep breathing. So the breath flows naturally into the depth, in particular when we can just focus our awareness at that region. You can notice even in this starting position, with the arms just gently raised, but the legs gathered together, the breath will more naturally find its way into that very deep region. Let's come down into this forward bend, not growing too much at this stage, but just keeping your awareness at that region of the pelvis and sacrum. You can gently lengthen up the legs a little bit more strongly if you're able to, but keep the upper body just naturally in a fairly relaxed movement for now, not growing too much. Aware of that breath in your depth. And then come back up to the standing position and take the hands down. One of the things that's important for encouraging this breath more into the depth is the difference between the lower half of the body and the upper part of the body. If we can keep the legs actively drawn together and the upper part more free, then the breath will tend to flow more into that depth. It doesn't really flow literally into the depth, but the organs down there can be displaced more in that direction. We can feel more movement, more activity happening, more aliveness can happen in that region. Once again, the same thing. a difference between the legs and the upper body. Draw your legs together, gather your strength in here at the pelvis and sacrum. Take your arms up just very lightly and freely, and take the upper body down. If the fingers come to the floor, that's fine. If they don't, it doesn't matter. Keep the legs actively lengthening upwards. You can direct your sitting bones upwards. Your abdomen gradually drawing more towards the thighs, but the upper body staying relaxed. And then be aware of the breath as it flows into the depth, right into the depth of the pelvis, or seems to. That's the feeling. There's movement happening in the depth of the pelvis. Deep breathing corresponds to integration of something new. And that means strength and gathering. Relax again, come back up to the standing position. Keep those legs tightened and drawn together. Keep that upper body more free so it's able to grow and stretch and lengthen. Take the hands down. So now we'll come into the standing head to knee position in the way that you all know, where we more actively grow outwards now. We've done a good preparation. We've really worked at tightening the legs, gathering our strength in the region of the sacrum. Now we can also, through mentally picturing, bring our body into a greater length. You all know this position, so we'll come into it together. Feet and legs drawn together and gathered. Upper body light to start with, head and neck relaxed, face relaxed. Be aware of the breath in the region of your pelvis and sacrum. Come right the way down into the position. Have a little pause where again you're aware of the breath. Grow more actively up through the backs of the legs. And then allow your whole upper body gradually to flow outwards into a more intensive stretch. Lengthening more and more. Farther and farther outwards. The legs are active. The upper body flows out. You can look ahead towards your hands and your fingers. And just be aware of the breath flowing deep inside your pelvis. Relax down again. Come back up to a standing position. Stretch up even more. And take the hands down. Just pause after this exercise, just for a moment, to become aware of the breath again in that pelvic region. I'm just going to read that little sentence again. The ability to integrate something means strength and gathering. We're integrating new breath in that region. The ability to integrate something means strength and gathering. So the next one I'd like to come to is the pigeon. So for the pigeon, you need to come down like this. And you see you've got your right leg is bent with the foot facing in. It's also possible to do it like that with the heel directly under your pelvis if that's easier for you, or you can have it bent slightly in towards your body. Just keep your hands on either side of your knee. So the idea with this exercise is that we want to work with our sacrum and to grow in the two directions into the two legs. Keep the upper body just really relaxed. You shouldn't be sort of if you have any tension in your neck or your shoulders, just try and keep the upper body as upright as you can, but work specifically from the pelvic region, stretching into your legs, growing into your back leg, tightening in your sacrum, so it brings a real tightening into those muscles at the very base of your back. And just be aware of that breath. It can be encouraged in a natural way to flow right into the pelvis. Breath is naturally encouraged in its depth. You can stay with this idea that with deep breathing, we're actually integrating something new into our being. Okay, let's change over to the, before we do that, you can just come into this counter pose, just coming forwards like this. Come back up again. Let's change over to the other side. So your left leg is bent inwards, hands on the ground. Make sure that your neck is comfortable, your shoulders are comfortable. Be aware of your sacrum. You're going to start to grow in the two directions into both legs, so that there's literally a squeezing in the region of your sacrum. You're tightening all of those muscles around those lowermost vertebrae. And now we'll be aware of the breath. We'll be aware of the breath flowing into that depth of the pelvis. We're integrating new, deeper breath. The ability to integrate something means strength and gathering. And then just come forwards over that front knee. And come back up once again. So the last exercise I'd like to do to finish off is the sitting twist. And this is another one where we can really gather our strength in the legs. And in doing that, it helps to free the head. So let's first of all take the left foot over the right knee in this starting sitting position. So try and have both buttocks on the ground if you can. If necessary, you can also do this sitting on a cushion, but a firm cushion is ideally, because you want to have that feeling of good firm ground underneath you. So in this starting position, let's focus on this idea of gathering again in this region of the sacrum and the pelvis. We can picture that energy flows along the thighs and gathers in that region. Let's just pause to really mentally picture that process. Energy flows along the thighs. Just imagine that literally as a picture. Something flows along the thighs and it gathers in that deep center. You might notice that as you create that mental picture, your breathing naturally deepens in that region again. And you can tighten in the sacrum and straighten up through your back. Now let's bring the arms up above the head. Let's stay with this mental picture. The energy draws in through the thighs. It gathers in the pelvis. And then from there, it flows upwards from the sacrum up through the spine. But our breath remains flowing deep into that pelvic region. Come back down again. Let's do the same thing on the other side. Taking the right foot over your left knee. First of all, we take the mental picture. The energy flows in through the thighs and gathers in the region of the sacrum and the pelvis. Be aware of the breath flowing into the depth. Now from the sacrum, we can picture the energy flowing up through the spine, continuing up through the arms, but take your awareness back to the region of your pelvis. Be aware of the deep breathing. Integration means strength and gathering. Come back down again. Change sides once again. So now we'll come right into the twist, keeping a good gathering in the pelvis, but we can also be aware this time of how our head becomes much freer and lighter if we have a good gathering of strength down in the region of the sacrum. So the energy we can picture flowing in through the thighs, gathering in at the sacrum and the pelvis. Take the arms up high, lengthen right up through the spine, twist to your left, take the left hand down behind you, stretch actively up through the right arm, just pause with the arms stretched up, don't rush into the position. It's important to really get a good length, and then you can come into the final sitting twist position, either with your arm right over your knee, or else you can just hug the knee round towards you if that's easier. Head looking over your left shoulder. So our main theme today has been to focus on that deep breathing in the region of the pelvis. Let's be aware of that again. And at the same time, the head can start to feel lighter and freer. The breath flows deeply into the pelvis. The head is lighter and freer. Straighten up once again. Take the hands down. Change over to the other side. Take the hands around your knee. Picture the energy flowing in through the thighs, gathering in at the pelvis. Then picture the energy flowing up through the spine as you raise your arms up. Be aware of the deep breath in your pelvis. Twist to the right, take the right hand down behind you and pause as you stretch up through the left arm. Long spine, long arm, right the way up high, and then eventually come right into the twist. Turn your head to look over the right shoulder. So be aware once again of that breath that is deep in your pelvis. And then at the same time, be aware of how this whole process can lead to a greater feeling of freedom and lightness in the head. The pelvis and the head stand in relation to each other. When we gather strength in our pelvis, when we gather deep breath, deep breathing in our pelvis, the head becomes freer and lighter. Straighten the arms up above your head once again, and take the hands down. You can just finish off in a sitting position. Just being aware once again of that deep breath in the pelvic region. I'll read those initial sentences that I read at the beginning. By experiencing and practicing deep breathing, we gather ourselves in our deep center and encourage processes of integration. The ability to integrate something means strength and gathering. Let's finish our session there.